Welcome to our daily healing show.
Hello, viewers. Welcome back to our healing show. Today, I want us to understand what is trauma. So, I know many people want to understand what is trauma. How can you know if you're traumatized? How to know if a person close to you is traumatized? So, generally, I'm going to give you a brief explanation of what is trauma. So, you see, at times, our hearts can be wounded when we are overwhelmed with intense fear, helplessness, or horror. So basically, trauma is a condition caused by severe shock after experiencing unpleasant, experiences. So trauma can be caused by many things, and to give a few, one, trauma can be caused in the face of death. So this is when you lose a loved one. It's either a close relative, a partner, a close friend, or maybe if someone passes under your watch. Number two, trauma can be caused by serious injury. By serious injury, I mean maybe a person was involved in an accident, and this mostly happens when one loses a part of his or her body, which is a traumatic amputation. So injuries mostly brings trauma. Again, trauma can be caused by rape, or maybe by even listening to another person's traumatic story. After hearing someone's unpleasant experiences, you can get traumatized too. So I'll just give you a brief story on John and his wife and the son. So John lived in a village with his wife and children, and this one day their village was attacked by bandits, and after the attack, John was cut uh, one of his arm, and everybody saw the incident. So after the incident, you find that John, lost his arm, lost the interest in living. John became angry, so he lost his temper. Mary became sad. They all had nightmares. Their son was actually a good teacher back in the village, but after the incident, he lost interest in his job, so he was fired from his job. He became a drunkard. So from this incident, we see that after the attack, John, Mary, their son, they were traumatized by the issue. And before we go further, let's just see the similarities, a bit of similarities between a heart wound, which is trauma, and a physical wound, which is caused either by, accident, either you were burned. So let's see if there is any similarities between these two. So in a physical wound, you find that it's visible, because if you look behind after John was cut his arm, you find that the wound that was left there was physical. So as for the heart wound, it's invisible but shows up in a person's behavior. So as for John, after he was cut one of his arms, you find that his behavior changed. And after, you know, the incident, the case, John changed his behavior, like he would beat his wife, he would beat his children, he would get angry all the time. So being traumatized, you cannot see the wound, you cannot see the heart wound, but from the behaviors of a person, you understand that that person is wounded. Number two, a physical wound is painful and must be treated with care. As for the heart wound, it's the same. If you go through pain, uh, if you go through incidents, if you go through unpleasant experiences, you feel the pain within, which is invisible, but it's there. So it needs to be treated with care. Number three, a physical wound, if ignored, it's likely to get worse. So if you don't take care of your wound, if you you don't take your wound to the hospital, if it's not checked, it might get worse. And as for the heart wound, it's actually similar, because if you ignore a heart wound, it gets worse. It gets worse in situations where you find that the person gets depressed, gets sick regularly. So if not treated, if not taken care of, if ignored, it brings bad things and it gets worse. Number 4, as for a physical wound, it must be cleaned to remove foreign objects. So, for example, if a person drops a glass and it breaks, once you go and step on those glasses, they stick in your either leg, they stick in your leg. So you first you go remove the object that pierced you, clean the wound, bandage it for it to heal. As for the heart wound, uh, the pain has to come out. A heart wound is the pain, the intense pain within. So the pain has to come out for you to heal. And if there is any sin, maybe a person, committed a sin and was traumatized by it, committed a crime, so that's a sin. For you to heal, it must be confessed. Again, if a physical wound that is, heals on the surface with the infection still inside, it will cause the person to become very sick. What do I mean? If a wound heals on the top and inside it's still has bacteria, it has germs, you know, the wound does not heal completely. It heals from the top, but it gets worse in the inside. As for the heart wound, if people pretend their emotional wounds are healed when they really are not, it will cause the person greater problems. Those people who suppress their emotions, who suppress their pains, they don't want to talk about it. They feel like it's not, good to talk about their pain. It brings about bad things like depression. If when a person has high blood pressure, so it's good to release your pain. As for the physical wound, only God can heal, but He often uses people and medicine to do so. Once you have a wound, a physical wound that is, you go to a hospital, find a doctor, treats you, and you get healed. And as for the heart wound, it's the same. Only God can bring healing, but uses people and understanding of our emotions heal. So once you have a pain, you have the pain, you have a heart wound, just find a person to talk to let your pain out, so that you can heal. Once you talk to someone, the pain, the intense pain gradually lessens. So God uses people who you can talk to, who you can share your pain with, to heal your internal wounds. Again, as for the physical wound, if not treated, it attracts flies, and this is very true. Once you find a wound that is not cleaned, it's not taken care of, it's not applied medicine for, you find that flies are all over, which is kind of yuckish. So a heart wound, if not treated, it attracts bad things. How does a heart wound attract bad things? People suppress their emotions, people suppress their pain, and after all, you find that to hide their pain, some get into drugs, some, get violent, like John. He would beat his wife and children in our story. So if not, expressed well, if not the pain is expressed, if not the pain, if the pain is not, expressed, if the pain is not released, it attracts bad things. So people become violent, people become drunkards, and so on. Again, a physical wound takes time to heal. Once you have a wound, you apply medicine and wait for it to heal. As for the heart wound, it takes time to heal. And as for the heart wound, it takes too much time to heal, because some take months, some take years. But after all, after, the whole time, the whole process, the pain lessens and a person heals. Again, as for the physical wound, if healed, a wound may leave a scar. Anytime you have a wound, it's either a cut, a burn. After it heals, it leaves a scar that reminds you were cut here, you were burnt here, and it always acts as a reminder. And as for the heart wound, a healed heart would also leave a scar, and people can be healed, but they not be exactly the same. An example of this is when a person goes through traumatic amputation. You heal, the wound heals, the pain lessens gradually with time, but after all, you find that a person is not the same. This is because maybe a hand was cut, so you'll find that from before, a person would farm, a person would wash his own clothes, would cook for himself or herself, but after the incident, you find that the person becomes dependent. So the scar healed, the pain lessened, and the person healed internally, but the scar still is there, that reminds you this thing happened. Although it's there, the pain is actually gone. So uh let's, in short, we find that heart wounds and physical wounds have quite a bit of similarities. Thank you for watching today's show, and remember to hit subscribe for more healing videos. Let's spread healing of the hearts. See you next time. Now, up and down.